morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NDB Media's Monday Night in America. Now, along with Sports Talk with the Guys, the longest running continuous program on the internet at 17 plus years. We are just going and blowing here and having a great time, and we're going to even have a better time. Hopefully I don't jinx it, but it's going to be good. You know who I am. I'm Roger. Michael, what's going on?
We're having a great time here.
Hey, Michael, by the way, I'm looking south. I'm actually looking at Mr. Pierce right now, but I'm pretending to talk to you. Which direction are you looking?
I'm looking south also.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how you doing, Michael? Everything good with you?
Everything's good. All
right.
Good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get to it. We already have quite a few people watching. We can tell So, folks, as we get going, why don't you fire off a comment in the chat room? Let us know who you are, where you hail from. I'm in Los Angeles. Michael Day is out in the nation's capital, next to the nation's capital. And we're going to introduce our guest right now, Michael Pierce. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How are you, young man?
I'm doing really well, Roger. Thank you for having me on here. Michael, it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm in San Diego. And FYI, I'm looking east.
Oh, so you're looking at Michael.
Yeah,
Very good.
There you go.
As it should.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is so cool. You know, Michael, I'm not sure if you know this, but I kind of alluded to it. We started on digital radio years ago. And when we would have international calls, you could tell that there was a delay. And it's just amazing how technology is. Look at it. You and I are on the West Coast. Michael is on the East Coast, and communication is instantaneous. It is just amazing. It blows me away. And I noticed you have a studio behind you.
I do have a studio. You know, the way the world of acting and auditioning is today, since pandemic, I miss going into the audition room and casting directors' offices and shaking hands and getting to know them and saying hello. But now everything's on tape and everything's digital, and you audition online. And so pretty much every actor has something like this set up behind me where we do our auditions, and this is kind of my audition office right now. So it's where I send all my auditions in to try to book a job.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, based on the imagery, you can see Mr. Pierce has a professional setup where he also does videos, I believe, on Instagram, which we'll get to in a moment. And you can tell I'm in my garage. So it is what it is. And Michael is out in the field somewhere in a tropical place, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, you lucky guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael, you have quite a few credits on IMDb, and we'll get to some of those right now. But you have been in the industry for a little bit, right? Starting with maybe All My Children?
Well, it was a soap opera, not All My Children, but it was General Hospital. That's the one I started with.
Yes. You already corrected me. Good job, sir. Yes. I do have, I wrote down accidentally All My Children. I remember watching General Hospital at that exact time. I believe it was in the early 80s, right? I think
early 80s, during the disco time when Luke and Laura were huge. And Laura were huge. Listen, let me tell you the story. This is so funny. I was a disco dancer when I was in high school, and I loved disco dancing. I thought it was so much fun, and I was watching that show religiously. And they had the disco segments on the show. Rick Springfield was on there, and Richard Simmons was on there, and I wanted to be one of the disco dancers on the show. Now, I was naive. I was in high school. I was getting ready to graduate. I had no idea how to get onto a television show. So I took my high school senior portrait. I typed up a very crude resume with just some high school acting plays that I had done. I stapled it, which I was really excited that I actually knew that you were supposed to staple it back to back, and put it in an envelope because I thought I was being very professional. And I sent it off to Marvin Page, who was the casting director of General Hospital at Sunset and Gower Studios. This is 1980. What I didn't know you weren't supposed to do was call the studio and say, hey, did you get my photo and resume? But I did that. The summer of 1980, I remember I called and somebody answered and they said, Sunset Gower Studios. And I said, hi, I'm Michael Pierce. I want to find out if you got my headshot and my resume. I want to be on General Hospital. I'm a dancer. I sent it to Marvin Page. They got kind of quiet. They put me on hold. They were probably laughing hysterically. They put me on hold. They came back and they said, we'll give Marvin Page the message. I did this every week the entire summer. I called them. I wanted to be on that show so bad. I'm a disco dancer. I was a dancer. I'd actually had taken dancing when I was in high school and when I was younger. I'll be danged if in August of that year, when I called up again, somebody else took my call. I said, I'm calling for Marvin Page. I want to talk to somebody. I want to be on the show. They put me on hold. I thought I was going to get the same thing. Somebody comes on and says, hi, I'm Skitch Hendricks. How are you? I said, I'm fine. He goes, I cast dancers and background on the show. I have your picture in front of me. I hear you've been calling. I hear you're a dancer. Can you be a disco dancer? I'm hiring disco dancers for tomorrow's show to film. You'll be here tomorrow. Yeah, I can be here tomorrow. He put me on the phone with somebody else, and they told me about wardrobe, what time to be there, who to meet. Jerry Blumenthal was a stage manager, what studio gate to go into. Got all the information, showed up at the studio the next day. I worked the entire day on the show, met everybody. They said, can you come back the next day? I did. And I worked every week on that show for a full year after that.
Yes.
You could never do that today. You could never do that today.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I got my break in television. While I was on that show, I got my first line, my first under five. Stuart Damon, he played Alan Quartermain on the show. He was the guy. He was the nicest guy. So his character was having an affair with another character named Susan in the disco. And so he was in a lot of the disco scenes. And so we would chat and we would talk. And when they didn't need me in the disco, they would put me in an orderly outfit and have me walk around the hospital. So one day I'm in the hospital set and we're just chatting away. And he found out I was from San Diego because one of the other actors, a guy named Doug Sheehan, who played Joe Kelly on the show, he was friends with my high school principal. They went to college together. So it was a small world. We just all started chatting. So he just went out of the blue one day, said, hey, Gloria Monty was the director. She was up in a booth. Said, hey, Gloria, let's give him a line. Wow. Her booming voice comes down, said, Michael, I want you to say, here's your folder, Dr. Quartermain, when he comes up to the nurse's station. I said my line. She said, that's good. Do it that way when we take the take. We did the take. I said my line. Everything was great. I got my after card, got my union card, and I was all set. And that was my experience on General Hospital. That's how I got started. It was a great experience. Great experience.
Wow, I bet. And
45 years ago.
I don't recall that exact moment, but I know I was watching it because I was I was home by that time and my mother was watching it. I remember Luke and Laura. I saw that, didn't understand everything, but I remember the ice diamond. That's what
the ice diamond. Yes.
And John Colicos of all people.
Yeah. So when Elizabeth Taylor was on there, that was the show to watch at that time.
Oh yeah, it was. And Michael, before I hand it off to Michael, Art B says, and this is when we were talking about your studio, and I'm also going to extend it when you were making the phone call. But are you wearing pants?
I know who Art B is, and tell him yes, I'm wearing pants. I'm going to stand up because I know who Art is, and I've got pants on. See, this is what I was talking to you about, Roger, about some of my friends asking really weird questions.
Hey, this is absolutely awesome. Jennifer Ryan asked when you were discussing that, can we see some of your disco moves from General Hospital?
Jennifer Ryan, no, you cannot see any of my disco moves from General Hospital. But I'm sure someday we'll go out dancing and then you can see some of them.
That is absolutely awesome. Well, folks, I appreciate it. Guys, again, thank you for your first comments. Let us know who you are, where you hail from, and if you have a story of how you met Michael, hey, write it in there in the chat room. If you're fearing daring enough, I don't know, maybe we might embarrass Michael on it. No, we don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that.
No, we do not, based on what you told me. But you can always write the comment in the chat room. Michael, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. We have. I got him through an agent that I had been getting some actors from one of the new crazy formats that's out there. It's called vertical dramas. I don't know if anybody out that's friends with Michael has heard of them. He has been in a couple. So my question that I've been giving to all of my guests on the show is, in your own words, what is a vertical drama?
Oh,
A vertical drama is really similar to a soap opera, kind of what I started out my career in. It's almost exactly like a soap opera, except the episodes are 1 to 2 minutes apiece. Now, I know you've probably been told this, but it's filmed like a movie. It's just filmed like a movie, and it's all the episodes are cut up from the movie into little 1 to 2 minute episodes. But when I have filmed it, it's filmed just like a movie is filmed.
Yeah.
And but it's like a soap opera. It's tumultuous. I mean, there's a lot of slapping, a lot of screaming. The storylines are soap opera storylines. They are
And then some.
hysterical. Oh, my dog is in the background here somewhere.
Oh, the ratings will go up. That's great.
So anyhow, but yeah, that's what a vertical series is like. And I was in one of them. I love the title. You know, it was called one thing, and then
They changed it.
came out. It was called My Gangster Baby Daddy Pampers Me to Paradise.
wow.
Yeah. So that's on the Good Shorts app. And then I did another one that I really, really liked. This one, I was in 3 or 4 episodes of this one. It's called Race to My Heart. And I really liked it because it had a lot to do with F1 racing. And that's on the Drama Wave app. And but yeah, I like doing them. I like them because they are just like a soap opera.
And is it true that I've heard almost from everyone that it's like 12 to 14 hour shooting days?
Oh yeah.
And maybe you get 2 takes, but a lot of times you get 1 take. Is that what you've experienced so far?
I have experienced 2 takes, but still you're kind of like, oh, I don't feel good about this take. And they're like, we're moving on.
We're moving on, gotta go.
Yeah, we're moving on. So you definitely want to try to get it done very well on that first take.
Yeah, that's what that's what everybody has told me. And I just can't imagine. I mean, I've done some amateur stuff, and we usually do 12 takes sometimes. And I just can't imagine if we went with our first or second take a lot of times. But I understand they want to get it done in 7-8 days.
Yeah,
it's usually like a 90-minute. If you put it all together, it would be like 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's about a 90-minute production, and it's generally when I see the casting notices come out, it's a 7-day to a 10-day filming schedule with a day off. And you look at this, you're like, wow, it's going to be a heavy schedule. I just auditioned for a Western for a large supporting role in this Western a couple of days ago. And it was an 8-day schedule. So we'll see how that goes. And it's filmed partly here, partly in Montana. And
is it a vertical or
it's a vertical?
It's a vertical.
Yeah. So it's very interesting how the verticals all sort of come out at the same time. They're either the alpha verticals, the Dracula, the vampire verticals, the mafia verticals. You know, they all sort of steal each other's content, and you kind of know what's coming out. So
yeah,
right now it's all about Westerns.
And I have been glad that the titles aren't having billionaire in them all the time.
Yes.
When I started looking at these 6-7 months ago, 90% of all the movies had the title billionaire.
97% of them had the title billionaire, and most of them had either the mother-in-law slapping the daughter-in-law or the girlfriend. Now they're not slapping them anymore. So
yeah, things have changed. Yes.
Yeah.
One
of the questions came up. Jennifer asked, what was the latest project that you enjoyed the most? I have to say, I just had a film come out that's on Apple TV, and it's called A Lion's Game. This is a feature film I filmed a couple of years ago, and I play Alejandro Vargas in this. I play a loan shark, and I'm one of the leads in it. And I am despicable in this film, and I'm not in control of my emotions in it. And I absolutely love this part. I loved playing it. The director, Travis Brown, he absolutely let me just kind of make this role my own. I was able to work with a really nice actor and actress, a guy named Kurt Oberhaus and a woman named Bella Dontine. Kurt Oberhaus just had another film come out called Amber Alert, which is all over Amazon Prime right now. But they were a great actor, great actress, and I just loved working on that film. It just came out 2 weeks ago on Apple TV.
I'll turn it over to you, Roger.
As a matter of fact, Lori, I believe I have this, Boehm, says, Michael, what would your dream part be? And also says, hi, Mango.
She knows my dog. And he's right here just laying down. My dream part, oh gosh. My dream part, I don't think it's really a part, but I have been recurring on a couple of series, and I would love to just be recurring on a series again. I think that would be my dream role. Just, it's steady work and, third lead, the crazy uncle, I'll take it. That's what I would be, I don't need to be, in fact, I don't want to be the lead because I don't want all that dialogue. I'd rather just be somebody that just pops up every 2 or 3 episodes. That would be great. But yeah, that would be my dream part.
Excellent. Paul Campbell asked, Dean, what was it like to act with Bryan Cranston? I loved you in Breaking Bad.
Oh gosh, it's funny that you're saying that because there was a time when I was at SeaWorld, and some people thought that I actually was Dean Norris, and they came running up to me and they wanted my autograph, and I had to let them down and say, I'm not Dean Norris, and I wasn't in Breaking Bad. And they took my picture anyway, and they said, nobody will believe that you're not, and we're going to take the picture with you because we're going to tell everybody that we had just met Dean Norris at SeaWorld, and they took my picture anyway. So I don't know if their friends believe that they actually got a picture with Dean Norris or not. But sorry, Paul, I have never met Bryan Cranston.
Wow, it did catch me off guard because I did check, your history, and I was like, ooh, how did I miss this one? But all right, we'll go to Paul on that one. Well, there it is. Maybe they were the ones that took your picture.
Maybe,
who knows? I used to be heavier, and I looked a lot more like him when I was heavier. A couple of years ago, I was much heavier, and then I had a full knee replacement, and then I lost a lot of weight after the knee replacement. But I was heavier, and I looked much more like Dean Norris did. But I was in a movie with Dean Norris. I did Unfrosted, directed by Jerry Seinfeld. That was on Netflix. And Dean Norris, I forgot what character he played, but I met him when I was getting my costume fitting, and we kind of looked a lot alike at the time when we went to get our costume fitting. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, that is. Look, Michael, we've met some incredible people over the years, and you are obviously in there as well, because on your credits alone on IMDb, you're listed as an actor, a producer, a writer, a director, an editor. You've done quite a few, it looks like. What is, other than having a regular spot on a series, what is it that really has your passion right now? I know it's a paycheck, but reasonably. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic, Michael. I cut you off. I shouldn't have said that. But I think you know what I mean. What is it that if you could, what would you do?
I would absolutely love to be just a filmmaker. I would love to just make films. In fact, I just wrote, I did a film. Well, back in pandemic, there was nothing going on. Nobody was auditioning. Everybody was just kind of sitting around going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I wrote a 6-episode short form content comedy. And that was when Lady Gaga had just put out a music video that was filmed on her iPhone, on an iPhone. I thought, oh, I can put a short form comedy on an iPhone. I filmed it on an iPhone. And I had my actor friends, and I put it on YouTube, and it actually won some awards, on some short festival awards. So I wrote a couple of other things, and I filmed this small film. I wrote a small film. I didn't want to film it on an iPhone, but I wrote this small film, the short film called Memento, and I did it in black and white. And it was a noir film.
Yes.
Well, it won about 15 short film awards. And I thought, gosh, I really like this film. And so I wanted to write a follow-up to it. And I just actually wrote this year the follow-up to it. And I am kind of putting that into motion now and getting the pitch deck put together. I'm going to try to get some funding for it. And just kind of, really just kind of getting into filmmaking. And that's what I think that's where my passion is really starting to lie.
Oh, that is cool. That is good to know. In addition to everything that you've done, I'm going to hand it off to Michael in a moment, and I'm going to follow up myself. But we want to get to the comments of the chat room. Lori asks, do you have a technique for memorizing long pieces of dialogue? And then there's kind of a follow-up without even knowing Art B had something similar to that. So maybe we can do the one for Lori first.
Sure.
Do you have a technique for memorizing long pieces of dialogue?
I do, Lori. Actually, the best part about it is just reading it over and over and over again. That's the only way you can memorize it. Once you start reading it, you kind of understand the story and really realize what this story is about. It's less about sort of learning the dialogue than it is learning what the story is. And then once you sort of realize the story of what this is you're trying to learn, then the dialogue comes really easy. You just sort of know what's going to come along with the dialogue. I remember when I was learning the series Confessions, I was trying to learn the dialogue, and then I really just needed to learn what was happening within each episode in the story. And once I did that, then the dialogue came, because I realized that there was somebody that was talking to me, and I kind of knew what was going on in each episode. And that's how I was able to really learn the dialogue, just by the repetition, and just knowing what the story of each episode or that script or that monologue or what was happening. That's how I learned it. So
what a great question. These were at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Michael, have you ever found yourself with a short notice, lengthy dialogue that you haven't been able to memorize and you had to use cue cards?
Yo, heck yeah. That's most of the auditions that come in when you have less than 48 hours. Now SAG has it set up so you have at least 48 hours to learn your lines for an audition. But the problem with that is, if you are an actor that works a job, your agent or your manager will send you an audition at noon on a Tuesday that's due by noon on a Thursday, and you're at work. Well, you can't really look at it till you come home. And then let's say you have an acting class online on Tuesday night, and you can't really look at the script again until you get off your acting class. Then you look at the script and go, okay, this is what this piece is about. This is what I need to learn and understand what this character is about. And then you go to work the next day, and then you're still trying to find a reader, somebody that's going to read this script with you. And then you have to record it the next night, and it's due to your agent or manager that night, because they need to take a look at it, determine, is this okay? Or are they going to send it back to you to say, re-record it before we submit it to casting the next day? And yeah, there's times where I have to use cue cards or my teleprompter, which is right up behind me here. Yeah. So sometimes, yeah, that happens. Yes. Yes.
Oh, that is cool. I appreciate the questions. Keep them going. Mr. Michael Day.
Yes. Mr. Pierce. Is right. Have you thought about writing a vertical and producing it and maybe directing it also?
Oh.
You know what? No, I have not.
Why not?
But now you're saying that, that's actually a really great idea. It's funny that you're saying that, because I was telling a friend today about a script that I had written earlier this year and I have the outline, and the outline is about a dozen pages, and I have really built these characters up, and it could easily become a vertical. It could easily become a vertical.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Day.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am going to take that as a note.
Ooh, that's a first, Michael. Now I'm envious. That's good.
Well,
Is this the same Wendy that you mentioned right now? Is it Divine or Divine, or you just mentioned a Wendy right now? Is that the same one?
No.
Okay. But pushing AI, I'm not sure what
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Sorry, Michael, go ahead and continue.
No, what I was going to say, now you made me lose my chain of thought, Roger.
What a shock. I'm sorry.
I know, what a shock. Oh yeah, we were talking about, let's see, you doing this, you doing that. Okay, when you got this, when you got it, would you produce it too, or would you want some help? Do you think you could do it all yourself, or?
Oh yeah.
It's tough. You know, when I did my short form content comedy,
Mm-hmm.
I did everything. I didn't direct it. I was the assistant director. I had somebody that directed it for me because I was acting in it.
Right.
But I wrote it and I produced it, and it was my own money. And I acted in it, and I found all the sets. I cast it. I did everything. That was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah.
And it was just me. Now I realize that you need to have a production crew behind you. And so when I did my short film Memento, which I just wrote the sequel to, and that's what's going into play now,
mm-hmm.
I would hire a production company. I would pay to have a production company. That's why I'm writing a pitch deck to get funding, you know, and to just get the funding to have it produced, because I don't want to put myself in that position again. And if it was the case of taking this script and taking that outline and turning it into a vertical, that would be something that I would have to sell to somebody else.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was going to ask. Would you
Yeah.
get it all ready, get the script ready, ask for maybe some input when they're filming or whatever? But what I was going to say is there are so many platforms out there right now.
It's crazy.
We had a guest on this morning, and I've only seen like 6 or 7 platforms, and he said there's more like 20.
Well, Michael, it's interesting because I see the breakdowns for casting constantly for
Mm-hmm.
these. And sometimes it'll say, you know, it says vertical, and these are from legit casting directors. It'll say vertical, and it'll show the platform that's going to be. And I'm like, I don't even know what this platform is. And I'll go to my phone, and I'll go to the apps
store.
Mm-hmm. There it is. There it is.
That's what's been happening to me recently.
Yes.
Because I've had some guests on, and I go, I haven't even seen that movie listed. And then they say an app that I have not heard of. And I just go, wow. And these apps put out 5 to 10 new productions a month, if not more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that's out there.
It's interesting too. One of my friends that I worked on a TV film with a couple of years ago, he is one of the lead actors in many of these. And I don't know if you've ever interviewed him or not. A guy named Noah Fearnley. Do you know him?
I've tried.
Oh, okay. Well, I did a TV movie with him, a Christmas TV movie with him, and he's a wonderful guy, wonderful actor. But he's in you've tried. He's in so many of these, and he's in a position now where he just gets picked. He doesn't audition anymore. They just come after him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know he's so busy, and that's why I haven't heard anything, but I keep trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some people on, and you know, they just get called. Sometimes they have to do but they're in 2 2 new ones a month, 2 a month sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible.
Yeah. So, but I like doing them. They're fun to do.
But I understand not doing the lead because the lead has a lot of lines.
Yes, there's a lot of dialogue, lots of dialogue that I don't want to learn.
No, and I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
can't do dialogue either, so I totally get that. Roger, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, this is a weird question. I'm sorry, Michael, but what is more difficult? Dealing with a handful of actors or maybe a retail question having to do with Legos?
Ask me about Lego. Go for it.
Well, is it difficult to get kids their product, or is it just an absolutely awesome joy? I'm just curious because rumor has it you did something with Lego.
I did. I was the director of stores for Lego for many, many years. And I was one of the guys that would go open up all the stores. I was on the task committees that do you shop Lego, Roger? Do you like Lego? I take it.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So you're in LA, yes?
Yes.
So you've been to the Imagination Center, downtown Disney?
Yes.
I opened that. So I just want you to know I opened that. I was there when they brought in with the cherry picker, brought that big giraffe in, the big, huge wall with all the Legos on it at the back.
Yes.
I was part of the task committee that determined that we were going to put those in every single store. That was something that we developed. The little Lego figurines you can buy that you can hang around your neck in the little plastic cases. I was part of that committee as well. I opened all those stores, but that's what I did for Lego for a long time. But I wasn't a Lego maniac. And so there came a point where after I opened the stores, every time I opened a store, there would be a little 4 or 5-year-old that would come up with their little crazy looking Lego monster. They'd show it to me and I just couldn't get into it anymore. And I just was like, I wasn't passionate about it. And so after a long time, I left the company.
I hear you. We're kindred spirits, young man. I'm retail. And now knowing this, I opened up several stores in different organizations myself. So I get that. Not as high as you, sir. I was a store manager, so I would do something like that. But yeah, everything you're saying, I get it. I do get it. But I want to switch gears a little bit. Before I get to some of the 2 important questions, I have to ask you right now. Right in front of you, I imagine you have it. Do you have an Android or do you have an Apple phone?
I have an iPhone.
Okay. If we look at the music, what is the first bit of music that we hear on Michael Pierce's phone?
Crash Adams.
Ooh, okay. All right. Sounds good.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Crash Adams is the same kind of like Andy Grammer. Just that sort of like it's kind of a light pop rock.
No, that's cool. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I've been dying. Oh, here we go. I'm going to segue to Jennifer's. With American Academy West soon closing its doors as an alumni, what are some of the biggest learnings and takeaways you learned at AADA that you would take with you to this day in your career?
Oh my gosh, Jennifer, what a fantastic question. Yeah, it's a shame that the Academy is closing in Los Angeles. But that is a big shame. One of the things that I would take away from that is Lyle Wilson was one of my instructors there. Lyle Wilson was on a show called, I don't know if you guys remember the show. I think it was called That's My Mama. This is from the 70s. I think he played a barber on the show.
Oh,
That's My Mama.
That does ring a bell, but
that one might have been a bit before me.
Okay. So anyhow, he was on the show. And one of the things that he taught me was the first thing that this is something that is normal now for an actor. It's something normal that I do. But I remember that we were doing scenes and there was a scene in a play that I was doing. And one of the lines had something to do with a flivver. A flivver is an old car, is the name of a car. They used to call a bad car a flivver. And made a comment about a flivver in the snow, because it was something, it's just as bad as a flivver in the snow, meaning that what is happening is just as bad as this bad car that's sitting in the snow. It'll never start. I had no idea what that meant. And he asked me, now I'm 18 years old in college. I had no idea what I was doing. I was, taking acting classes. And he said, do you know what that means? I said, I have no idea. And he yelled at me and said, why haven't you done your homework? I did my homework. I know my lines. I know what I'm saying. But what he was saying is, know what you're saying, know the backstory, understand what you're saying. And this is true. This is, of course, why wouldn't you? Why would you not know? So Jennifer, yes, the takeaway is know what you're saying, know your backstory, understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Understand what you're saying. That is from Lyle Wilson. God rest his soul. He's passed away, but yeah, he was amazing. He did a movie called Sisters, and it was a horror film. And I can't remember who the actress was that played it, but it was a horror film. She played twins in the movie, but yeah, he was a great actor. Great actor. But that's the takeaway, Jennifer.
I thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Now, being that you're from San Diego, but I understand you lived quite a bit in Southern California, there are a lot of odd and strange things all throughout Southern California that a lot of people don't know about. And as I mentioned before we had gone on air, that I've done some programs on, supernatural items, historical things, tall tales, whatever. But I understand in San Diego, there is this one, or I believe they call it the most haunted road in California. Some people would say America, I don't know. But I understand it's Proctor Valley Road, right?
Proctor Valley Road, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Have you ever driven that road?
As a matter of fact, I have.
Oh, really? So, did you see anything or the alleged demon car?
Let me tell you a little story. I actually just did a short film that's coming out, a horror film that'll be premiering. I'm going to the premiere next month. It's called The Demon Car of Proctor Valley Road. And I play the father of a young girl whose boyfriend gets tackled by the demon of Proctor Valley Road. I don't want to give too much away, but when we were filming this at night, till 2:00 in the morning, and this was last October, and it was freezing. Literally, it was probably about 35, 40 degrees. And I didn't have a shirt on for this scene. I wasn't supposed to have a shirt on. And all the generators went out. Wow. And so the heaters and the lights and everything went out. And we were standing there in the pitch black on Proctor Valley Road in the cold.
Oh, dude.
And we're all like, what do we do? What do we do? So everybody's sort of like going to their cars that are parked and trying to turn their headlights on and just try to light up something. And I had to go sit in somebody's car, and I was literally like freezing. I thought, I'm going to have pneumonia the next day.
Yeah.
I'm going to have something with my chest. But it was the strangest thing. We're right in the middle of filming this one scene. We've got the demon car sitting there. We're doing the scene where my daughter keeps running out of the car and I'm coming to her, and boom, all the generators go out. Never did understand what happened. I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
They all went out at the same time.
Everything went out. Wow. It was the creepiest thing. And it was kind of like one of those things where everybody's looking at each other like, are we all experiencing this? Are we all experiencing this?
Life imitating art, or art imitating life?
Yes. It is strange. It is really, really strange. There's one scene that is really very fun that I got to film with one of the actors, Josh. We're sitting across from each other in a field, and we're in two overstuffed chairs. And it was right at sunlight, or the sunset. And we're doing the scene, and we're filming, talking to each other, and I'm telling this creepy story. And this guy comes walking out of the blue, just like down the mountain. where did this guy come from? We have no idea where this guy came from. And everybody just kind of like stops. We're like, and the director kind of goes, we're filming, you're in the scene. And the guy's like, okay. But it was the strangest thing because we're in a valley.
Yeah.
And it was quiet. The guy is just walking by himself in freezing, and he's in shorts and the tank top. It's like just kind of those little moments. You're like, I didn't see any coyotes walking up on their bare feet. I didn't see a strange woman walking around at 1 a.m. in the morning, saying weird things. But those two things freaked me out.
Well, as you probably know, there are many things on that road. Not only the demon car, but there are spectral things. This goes back to even before the road was put in. There was something in that area. And did you know about it before going in?
Yeah, because it was, this is an urban legend that's been around my whole life. And so when this film came up, I hit up the director and said, I really would like to be a part of this somehow. And the role for the father was just kind of for my age range, and it was perfect. And I didn't think I was cast because it just took a long time for him to cast and get the funding. And then he got the funding, and one day I got an email saying, okay, you're ready to film. We're going to go to camera in about 3 weeks. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ready. And, I got the full script, and that was that. But yeah, I knew about it. And, but I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know really about the family. I didn't know much about how the property came to the family and how they sort of lost the property and all of that. I didn't know much about that, but I knew about the legend or the urban legend. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool. I don't know if I'd have the nerve to do that, Michael, but you did. You went out there because that road is like California's notorious most haunted, allegedly.
So it was weird. There were creepy things. Now, like I said, they weren't the legends of the coyotes walking on their back legs and all that stuff. That didn't happen. But just the creepy stuff, just the weird things. The guy coming out of nowhere when it was freezing in shorts and a tank top, as quiet as a mouse. Like, where did you come from? And just all the lights and the generators going out. And it was like, this is just too much. It's too much. So.
Wow. I'm actually set to go sometime this summer myself. I've been wanting to drive it. I just haven't had a chance to go because I mentioned to you on air that there's another place in Riverside, a particular bridge, I don't remember right now, happened in the 1960s or the 50s, I forget. And there's driving through there at night, there's a historical marker there, of all things, in downtown Riverside. And that's how I found out about that one. And I started looking up stuff, and then I found out about the one of Proctor Valley. So I got to go over there. Not that I'm a horror maven in any way whatsoever.
No. But you're going to go at night, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course. You have to.
Yeah, and I will have my camera with me, and so you never know what'll happen. I doubt I'll be alone, Michael. So
you'll have to talk about it on an episode so I can watch it and find out.
I appreciate that, Michael. That is cool. That is really cool. Well, that's absolutely awesome. And then the movie is going to be out next month, you said?
Yeah, I know that the premiere is at the end of June. It's at the Digital Cinema downtown San Diego, Digital Cinema Gym. It's a theater. So I know that's happening at the end of June. So that's the premiere for the cast and crew. So it's going to come out sometime after that. So I know that it'll come out sometime in the next month and a half.
Awesome. I'm going to keep an eye out for that one. That is really cool. I know we don't want to super take up all of your time because you're so gracious in spending it. Michael, do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm done. I think we've got one or two more in the chat room, so I'd rather go there. So,
Lori, what's one movie that you could watch over and over? And that's a two-parter. One of yours, and then someone else's, for lack of a better word.
What's one movie that you could watch over and over? And so I think, oh gosh, I don't know that I have one movie that I could watch over and over. I really like old school movies, noir films. Just like I am a big fan of what I just watched the other night. The Jimmy Stewart
Dead
film.
Men Don't Wear Plaid.
I watched what's the one? Jimmy Stewart. He plays the photographer, and he keeps looking out of his apartment window. Gosh, I forgot which one it is. It's him and Grace Kelly. I watched that movie. I love that movie. I love it so much I can't remember the title, but that's the type of movies I like to watch. I can watch those over and over and over again. Rear Window.
Yes.
Jennifer Ryan. Thank you. Rear Window.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Excellent.
Yeah. So yeah,
and art.
And art.
Wow. And art. About within seconds.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why we love the chat room.
Michael, it's awesome having the chat room. It's part of it, and it's instant. Your audience will always help you out, man. It's absolutely awesome. I don't know if I wanted to ask this question, but all right. Michael, would you rather be interviewed by James Lipton or Zach Galifianakis?
Oh gosh, well, they both have qualities. Zach Galifianakis would make me laugh, but James Lipton, I think, just the active studio, yes. I mean, why not? Why not? I know he's gonna ask me what's my favorite curse word, and I could tell him in a heartbeat. So,
you could tell us.
What's that?
You could tell us.
I won't tell you on here, but yeah,
all right, fair enough.
He's gonna ask, and I would. It's not what everybody would think it would be, but it's. But yeah,
we may have heard it already. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, that is absolutely awesome. Michael, is there anything that we did not get to, or I'm sure we disappointed you on not asking you on other stuff? What you see, both Michael and I are like, yeah, we know we did. What did we miss that you want to share with us?
You let me talk about how I started out, which is great, and I have talked about the last couple of projects that I've worked on. We've talked about verticals, and we've talked about auditioning and the Academy closing its doors. So I kind of have touched base on sort of everything that I'm doing right now, other than I'm just auditioning. I mean, I'm like every other working actor right now who's just knocking on casting directors' doors and doing the same things every other actor is doing, is sending out their headshots and com cards. And I'm not an A-list actor. I'm not somebody that just has somebody knocking on my door saying, hey, I have a script for you to read. You want to be in our film. I wish I was that case, but at this age and the amount of projects that I've been in, I would think I'd be there, but I'm not yet. But one of the things we talked about, Roger, is I'd love to just keep making films and find funding for them and be a filmmaker. I think that would be one of the greatest things to do, and have to not work my 9 to 5.
Michael, a technical question. I've read from a few others that are also in your field, so they would be your peers. They say that when a movie finally makes it to air, whether it be on television, cable, movie, or whatever, it says it is never the movie that the creator, the producer, the director, it is never the purest that each individual wanted, because it's so many people coming together and adding to it that you're never ever going to get the movie that you envisioned. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that with some of the projects I've been on, like the movie Unfrosted that I did for Netflix. Jerry Seinfeld directed that. What I filmed and what aired on Netflix are two different films.
Oh.
It was two different things. And, watching it going, wow, and I remember telling my friends when we were having the viewing party, it was like somebody came to Jerry Seinfeld, because I remember they were filming things going, this is great, this is funny, this is this. But somebody had to come and put a bug in his ear saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I know he didn't get his vision. He had a different vision, and that's not what it was, what was on Netflix. And it's a shame. And I think that's why it was critically panned. It's a funny film, but it was critically panned. And it's unfortunate because he had to listen to people because they're the ones that financed it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and it's a shame because they're the ones that are financing it, but they don't know what's going to work. Just because you got money in your pocket doesn't mean you know what's going to work. Jerry Seinfeld's been a comedian. He was had on one of the funniest television shows.
Yeah.
And he knew what made that show work and what was funny. And I was on set with him for an entire week, and I watched that man work, and he was hysterical. And but what I saw him do on set for a week wasn't in that film.
Wow. So yeah, there you go.
But the film that just came out on Apple TV, Lions Game, every minute of film that was filmed is in that film. And Travis Brown, his vision is in that film. And so, but that's also was self-financed, and that was all backed by backers that helped him. So it was his vision. So I think it depends on if it's a big studio film and you've got a lot of people that are looking just to make money, or if it's an independent film, and it's going to be different.
Yeah. Excellent. And I appreciate it because that was a jumbled question, Michael. Thank you for working through it. And I do appreciate that. Mr. Day, anything else you would like to add?
No, I think that's it for me. As I said,
all right.
Yeah,
well, fair enough.
I think we've gone through the chat room now. So
yes, actually, I believe we did. I want to thank everyone: Jennifer, Art, B, Paul, Lori, Wendy. Believe that's it. And for everyone else that's going to watch this after and are going to leave your comments, we thank you. Look, we got a lot of stuff going on here on ndbmedia.net. Just check it out. There's programming every day of the week, and with guests such as Mr. Michael Pierce. I mean, it doesn't get much better. We take pride in not having interviews. We have conversations, and hopefully we'll have a chance to, when Michael has some other stuff premiere, maybe we could help him out with some of the advertising and stuff, and to get word out. Anytime you want us to advertise anything, sir, let us know. We'll play it on our programs as well, and we don't charge for that, sir. We don't. Are you kidding? You gave us a view, and at the very least, we can help get word out. So, Michael, his IMDb, there it is at the bottom. Yeah. Instagram.com. Michael Pierce D, and his webpage is michaeljosephpierce.com. Check him out on IMDb as well. And there's a lot of imagery there on IMDb, and it's kind of cool. So
if you can't write that fast, just go ndbmedia.net, go into live shows, go into Monday Night in America, and you'll see it right there. All the links you can just click.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Very handy.
Yes, I apologize, Michael. So it's all good. All right, Michael, we thank you. I have to tell you on a personal note, I was looking forward to this, and I appreciate you sharing your passion, your stories, how you got going, and adventures on set. There might be some other things we may be able to ask you in a future date. You never know, but we would love to have you back on in the future. And anytime you want to talk about any project, please drop a hint, and we'll beg you to be back on.
So. I will. Roger, Michael, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Talking with you guys too. And it was very casual, and it was a conversation.
I appreciate that. All right, folks, check it out. The movie that is going to be out very soon is The Demon Car of Proctor Valley Road. It is a short, but it is a horror. And check it out. It's going to the actors' red carpet is in late June. So hopefully it'll be on shortly thereafter. But follow it right there at IMDb and also on Michael Pierce's website. And you can find him on Instagram. He's got a lot of good videos on there. We didn't talk about your videos. Darn it.
Next time.
There it is. Next time. So we're done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Michael, thank you. We're just going to go ahead and end it now. And we appreciate everyone that spent the time with us. So we'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.